but I want to welcome everybody to the latest ChargeAutomation live session. We're very excited because we have actually a very different angle today. In fact, we're delving into the whole side of AI with Hostbuddy. So the whole point of this call today is to discuss messaging. It's something our clients have asked us very often about. They are continuously asking us how messaging works in ChargeAutomation. And we are really leveling up the game with Hostbuddy. So we're really excited about this one. So we're going to get started with some intros first. I think will be wise. Most of you guys already know me by now. If you joined these live sessions before. My name's Nick. I handle marketing and partnerships here at ChargeAutomation. But I'm going to hand over to Tyler from Hostbuddy.
Hello, Nick. Hello, Manuel. Thanks for having me on. Super excited to be here and talk about this awesome partnership. But yeah, my name's Tyler, sales director here at Hostbuddy AI. And little background on myself. I've been in the short-term rental space since 2021. I own a few cabins in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee. I've built tree houses, designed 9 different places. So really, this space is what I live and breathe. So I'm extremely passionate about short-term rentals and AI. And yeah, super excited to be here. Appreciate you guys bringing me on.
Awesome. I didn't realize you actually had the cabins up there. That sounds pretty cool. I need to check that out.
Yeah.
That sounds very cool.
Sure. It's a good time. I mean, good and bad, obviously, as many operators know.
Yeah, exactly.
And we got a manual. What you're gonna get.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Fingers crossed, things actually the snow comes. So we've also got Emmanuel as well, who was a last second addition to the call. Emmanuel, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you for inviting me on the call there, Nick. And yeah, my name is Emmanuel. I have a background in technology and engineering, and then I've moved into sales more recently. And so I just love both of those worlds. And I think this AI is, on the cutting edge of technology. And so I find that very fascinating, and I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of partnership we can have here. And so, yeah, I'm excited to be on the call. Thank you so much, and looking forward to it.
Great stuff. Thanks, Emmanuel. And if you have any questions at all in terms of for sales, Emmanuel's your man. We'll give you all the details at the end of the call. So, okay. So let's jump into things. So very quickly, as we always do, we just give a quick overview of the live session. It's a 25-minute discussion, so we won't take too much of your day. I know you've got a lot on. We'll then do an interactive Q&A, and that kind of drags on a bit sometimes when there's lots of questions. So please do ask questions, because usually people find that the most useful thing. If you have any early questions, please put it in the feed on LinkedIn. So if you're not logged in on LinkedIn, go that way. You'll find the feed on ChargeAutomation, and I believe that Hostbuddy have also posted the link as well. So take a look there. Put your questions on the LinkedIn feed, and we'll answer those. We'll keep an eye on them. If we can answer them at the time, we will do so, but don't worry, we'll get to them at the end. All right, let's start off with a little about ChargeAutomation. We have to do this part as well, and we'll talk about Hostbuddy afterwards. But what is ChargeAutomation? What does it offer? And some of you guys might be new to ChargeAutomation. Some of you might already know the platform. But essentially, we are a guest automation platform. We offer a whole host of features, including all the check-in features, multilingual, really, really key actually these days. Guest ID verification. We work with some big partners there to make sure that you have the most robust ID verification out there in the industry. We also offer one-click upsells, which is absolutely key to the discussion that we're going to have right now. We have, there was a bit of a typo on that, but we have seamless integration with a variety of payment platforms, not just CXPay. That was from our last session, so apologies for that. But we have over 120 different payment gateways, including Stripe and many others as well. So you can really expand into local payments. We offer secure deposit collection as well on that side, guidebooks with access codes. We integrate with many smart locks. And in fact, actually, we're about to launch a great new feature with over 100 different providers of smart locks. So there is no excuse to not use ChargeAutomation and automate everything with your guests. So it makes it really, really cool. Digital rental agreements, e-signatures, and of course, really key, messaging integration with Hostbuddy. That's absolutely key. I myself, I use ChargeAutomation. I have as well properties. I have 24 properties down here in Spain, and I integrate ChargeAutomation there, and it just works brilliantly. It's a great platform to use. One thing I haven't mentioned on here, which is really key, is our government authority reporting. So I actually am based in Spain, and we have integration with Hostbuddy that heads down here. So if you want to integrate with the authority reporting in Spain, we have that covered for you. And we also will be having Portugal Germany, just to name a few, including also Dubai, and we also have Colombia as well. That's all coming up very, very soon. So yeah, like I said, we try and make ourselves as truly global as possible. So that's a little bit about Charge Automation, and I'm sure Emmanuel can tell you so much more if you reach out to our sales team. Let's move into our Hostbuddy side. So Tyler, I'll give this to you.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so Hostbuddy, we've been around for about 2 years, powering about 15,000 listings currently through AI automation and messaging. So generally the problem that we saw is that most property managers and hosts really didn't get into this business to live inside an inbox. But really that's what it turns into, messages all day and people just pulling their hair out and repeating the same answers and chasing guests for details, trying to upsell when there's time, but there really usually isn't. So
oh, there was some feedback there. I don't know what happened.
that's kind of where
Did you hear
Hostbuddy comes into play. It's an AI-powered guest communications platform built specifically alongside your existing PMS. We really connect with all the large PMSs right now in the US. We're expanding heavily into Europe right now as well. But it's meant to be your always-on 24/7 guest concierge. It handles the repetitive stuff instantly, understands context, and communicates in a way that actually feels human, which obviously most people are scared with when it comes to AI. So generally we handle pre-booking instructions, check-in instructions, house rules, troubleshooting with guests, follow-ups. Hostbuddy always responds in real time, 24/7. It's constantly learning and reiterating on your properties, your standard operating procedures, and your tone. So guests always get consistent on-brand answers every time, kind of along the lines of how you've talked to guests in the past. And another really nice thing too is it actually studies 6 months of conversational history. But where it gets really powerful, I think it's the most important, is beyond support, is the proactive messaging. So Hostbuddy doesn't just react to guests, it proactively engages in guests. And I think this is where Charge Automation can really come into play. So it can ask questions along the lines of why they're visiting, what they're excited about. And then it naturally surfaces things that can make their stay better, like a late checkout, an early check-in, special experiences, maybe like a spa or a private chef, tours, add-ons, whatever it is. All of this is happening pretty conversationally and not in a pushy or automated AI sounding way. And when it makes sense, Hostbuddy can handle availability checks, approvals, and payments directly through integrations like what we have here with Charge Automation. So really revenue can be added without adding any work to your team. And really the end result is simple. Guests feel taken care of, your team gets all their time back, and operators can unlock a new revenue stream that they didn't have time to manage before. Lastly, Hostbuddy isn't really here to replace humans. It's meant to take that busy work off your plate so you can actually focus on what matters.
Yeah, and do you know what? I'm really glad you mentioned that at the end, because it was at the tip of my tongue. And I say that because firsthand, my business partner is my wife, and she is so anti chatbots. And I think this is the thing: people see it as a chatbot, and I excuse the use of that word. It's not. It's very, very different. It works very differently. And I believe me, I'm going to try and sell this to my wife afterwards.
I'm going to have to just get your wife on a demo and show her it, and just show her the capabilities and how human it sounds.
She's a tough cookie. We'll get onto that one though. All right, let's move into obviously the next slide. I mean, look, I think as a whole, this one of the reasons we wanted to partner with you guys is you have a very comprehensive platform, and it makes sense. There's loads of AI platforms out there. I get inundated by many sales calls from different kind of platforms. Yeah, there are a lot. There's a huge number, but I think you hit the nail on the head with several parts in regards to Hostbuddy and why it differentiates. It doesn't just spam the user. It provides that both you are also interacting with it as well as the host. It's not a case of just leaving the AI to do everything. You are working alongside it. You're deciding on answers. You're deciding on lots of different elements, and it makes it a lot more personal as opposed to just an AI bot chatting to the guest. And I think that differentiates you guys. So I think, like I said, as the title of this goes, it is a perfect match for these days. People are expecting to have that kind of experience. A guidebook isn't always going to be enough these days for a lot of modern hosts. I'd say they've already been accustomed to using AI for a number of years. They want to see that experience delivered to their guests. So yeah, I guess I put these points together because I really want to highlight exactly where this comes in, and Hostbuddy and ChargeAutomation, it comes at the point where you've made the booking, you already now have access to that whole process. You can start asking questions in advance of the stay. And as you said earlier, Tyler, it starts learning about you. Maybe you could tell us a little bit more about that particular part, because that was kind of interesting actually on that side.
Yeah, so the great part in terms of learning, firstly, if you do connect a property management system, it'll study 6 months of conversational history. So every little nuance of each property, and if you troubleshooted with a hot tub, or if you've troubleshooted with a breaker going down, and if you've explained how to fix those things, Hostbuddy will remember them and try to troubleshoot with that guest, so you don't have to get involved. And when you're training the AI, going forward, it'll constantly reiterate and remember the things that you train it going forward as well. So it's constantly learning, and the 6 months of conversational history might be my favorite part, just because I really don't have to get that involved in my properties anymore, because it's remembered how to troubleshoot everything I have in the past.
It's funny you mentioned that, because it's the Wi-Fi code that gets me every time, and I think I've told you that
again. You will
earlier.
never be talking about a Wi-Fi code again.
Yeah. And I said earlier, we have got a little plaque, and it's literally, you've got to be blind not to see it. And we still get people contacting saying, "What is the Wi-Fi code?" It's written there. Yeah, I saw that, but is that really the Wi-Fi code? It's like, well, we don't put those things there just for a reason. But
anyway,
anyway,
to show that people love to be handheld, and I think Hostbuddy does a great job in always being there for the guest when hosts sometimes don't really want to answer these questions that are repetitive. So saves a lot of stress and time.
Yeah,
I think it's brilliant. The 6 months of backlog study. I think that's amazing, because then your voice comes through, whatever voice you have.
Exactly.
For the newer property managers who are, let's say, they're just kind of signing up for or getting into this, and they don't have 6 months of history, how does Hostbuddy work for them? Does it just study them from day one kind of thing? How does that
Yeah. So it'll constantly reiterate things as the guest goes along. So Hostbuddy generally is meant to automate 80 to 85% of guest communication. So the host will, be coming in and answering questions, and, potentially recommending to have the host respond to more things in the beginning, just so it can learn, and, the personality and the tone and the way that host talks to guests. But we also have a personality and tone section where you can put in a prompt and how you want it to respond to that guest. And then also there are standard operating procedure rules where you can kind of put in how you want it to frame certain things if it needs to troubleshoot, or if it needs kind of how your personality and what you want it to be.
Okay, cool.
No, that is very cool, and like you said, Emmanuel, that changes everything, and the whole flow becomes a lot more personal. And do you know what? It's not just that as well. I think I mentioned on here. There's obviously payments. Payment links can be sent out. The ID verification check reminders can be sent out. These are the typical kind of communications that you're continuously sending out, and you're continuously, in our case, especially in Spain, or where there is government authority reporting, people get kind of funny about doing all this ID verification, and you're repeating the same thing over and over again. You have to do this because it's the law, and this, that, and the other. And it's time consuming repeating that message over and over. So it allows you just to kind of leave the AI to handle those repetitive task issues. And like you said, you can focus on the business, and you can focus on the real upselling or the real sales, which is what you want to get. Yeah. So that's amazing. Very cool. To be honest, I think we covered everything in here. And I think the next thing really that I want to talk about, is obviously, Ty, you had a really great example here that we were talking about earlier. So do you want to work us through this?
So here's kind of just an example guest flow. So just a little background, my cabins that I own are in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee. I live in Utah, so a little different mountains. We don't get as much snow there, Nick. If there's 1 inch of snow in Tennessee, everything shuts down. It turns into mass chaos. But yeah, if you want to click into that first one, I can kind of explain what an example guest flow could look like. So basically, we have proactive messaging and reactive messaging. And this is a smart template that can be set up as an example for me to kind of prompt guests into telling us what they're interested in doing in the area, and then kind of just asking them some questions. So I have this as a smart template sent out to the guests 1 day before. So we're excited to host you. What brings you to the area? If you'd like any fun recommendations, let us know. And this really just gets the guests talking into, why they're coming. So if you can bring on the next one, that would be great. So as you can see here, just an example flow and what it might look like. Looking forward to this weekend for some outdoor activities and getting into nature. So Hostbuddy can recognize keywords or triggers. In this case, the outdoors and activities and getting into nature brings up what I had mentioned in the upsell as a horseback riding tour that I really like to do. So it'd be something that I'd naturally bring up to guests. So first off, it brings up a couple local hikes that I've talked about in the past from that 6 months of conversational history. So it makes it more of a natural message. And then it brings up one of my favorite personal experiences in the area as a guided horseback ride. Let me know if you'd like to have some details about it. So as you can see here, it's meant to be extremely natural and salesy. And not salesy, but it is technically being a salesperson for you on the back end without you having to do any work. So guests show some interest. Yes, I love horses. And then basically that's when it provides that link that ChargeAutomation would come in and, everything would be able to be handled on the back end by ChargeAutomation. And there's tons of different capabilities that you can do in terms of tours. There's things you can do with early check-ins, late checkouts, and really, Nick, if you have any other ideas of maybe where you think this could be good, what are your thoughts?
Totally. No, well, there are several things on this one. So I think the traditional upsell is your late checkout, your early check-in, your taxi service. So it comes into its own when you kind of say, when the guest says, hey, I need a transfer. What's the best way to kind of get from the airport to the accommodation? So straight away, it's the same question that's asked over and over again. And I've got to be honest, I don't offer horseback riding down in Ben
Why not?
where I my properties.
That you would stand out for
I guess we could do it on the beach.
You would stand out from the rest of the host of the area.
You'd certainly stand out. I'll give you that much. Yeah. That's going to be an interesting one. I think the other residents of the kind of the community will be like, what on earth is going on here with these people? But we do offer bicycle tours, and we have on-site bike rentals, which is pretty awesome. So that's pretty cool. But the main thing is, you can kind of have the AI actually steer the conversation. So because they're already giving them the guest has kind of said, hey, I love doing this kind of stuff. I like to chill, or I like to do, I want a really easy, relaxed holiday. Straight away, from relaxed, that they don't want to be stressed. They want to get a taxi service that's going to collect them door to door. And that's one of the biggest ones here. In fact, that's probably one of my biggest commission models is on taxis. And I don't know if it's the same for everybody else, but we get a chunky commission on that one. And it's great because it's what most guests want to have. And I think it's down to your particular area. 100%. The other really cool thing that we were talking about earlier is usually I often talk about the whole paradox of choice. I know I'm going really complex here, but I did conversion for many, many years in different organizations. So I studied this stuff inside out. But if you offer too much, you're going to get a lower conversion. And that's really important. Hosts often think, oh my God, I'm just going to put tons of different services on here. As soon as you do that, you're going to find your sales will drop like an absolute brick. You want to kind of offer, the best converting options. It might be worthwhile starting with maybe tops 5, maybe 7 options, and even narrowing it down to 4 afterwards. You want to kind of focus on that. The difference with AI, and I think this is really cool, and Tyler, you can mention this too, you can jump in here, is AI, you don't have that choice. The AI decides for you what the choice will be for the guest. So you can bring up those options. You can create much more choice because it's not going to present a ton of features. It's going to say, hey, we offer tandem bike riding, which would be a crazy random option, but it exists. So, if you want to do that, we can help organize it. We can help take care of it. And you can then take the commission from that particular area. So I think this is awesome. And this is where traditional upselling has been limited and you have to focus. This allows you to expand out and create way more options. And I think it's really exciting on that front for our
It's
users.
so nice being able to tailor it to like different triggers and keywords. So, I could set up a hypothetical, another, trigger a keyword if they're wanting more of a relaxing stay or a romantic stay. I could have those triggers and keywords lead to a conversation about a spa experience and someone coming in to the cabin and giving them a nice spa experience. And really the beautiful thing too is like us property managers, we're busy. We don't want to really do these things. we should be doing them, but
Yeah.
this is all naturally happening on the back end without you having to worry about anything, you know, the conversation wise, and then the back ends with the payments and you guys handling all of that.
Amazing. No, that's very, very cool. Let's go to the next example because I'm just conscious of time, and hopefully we're going to have lots of questions. I'm really hoping to see them. This is a cool topic. So yeah, I mean, obviously setting things up, it's probably going to sound really complicated, but it really isn't. And I'm going to start off by essentially saying I've got this really complex link at the bottom, but it just gives an example of the parameters, the variables that we send from ChargeAutomation to Hostbuddy. So essentially we send the platform reservation code, which is unique to your guest reservation, and obviously their first name. So you can personalize it instantly. So yeah, I mean, Tyler, you wanted to kind of go through this one, so I'll let you.
So if you can open up that first one. So
sure.
When setting these up, each one should take less than 5 minutes. This was pretty easy for me to be able to set it up. So when you're coming in for any Hostbuddy users that know the platform, you'll go into your specific property, and then it'll show all these options at the top. You'll go to property upsells, and you'll be able to add all of your custom ones that you want to do. You know, the options are limitless in terms of capabilities and how you want to customize it. So as we see here, the first part is just kind of explaining what the horseback riding is like. You can go on to the next one, and then general pricing as well. It ranges from like $50 and onward. And then the offering strategy, this is kind of where
sorry, my mistake there.
So yeah, this is where you would put the pricing in of whatever the experience is, and Hostbuddy talking about what that general pricing might be. And then the offering strategy, so recommend horseback riding when quote unquote these triggers come about. So wanting something relaxing or scenic, traveling with family or first time visitors, outdoor activities without they don't like hikes, so without intense hiking. So those are some of the key triggers where it might naturally bring up the conversation. And I always recommend, obviously, you can put in the triggers that you want to, but it's always great to kind of reference Gemini or ChatGPT of like, give me some good triggers of where a conversational flow might allow, this to lead to a great conversation about horseback riding or hiking or a spa experience, whatever it is. It's very helpful in making sure you have a great offering strategy.
That's a really good point, because a lot of the time people just sit there thinking, well, what can I put in there? And obviously it's already going to know what's going to trigger it. So that's
AI is great in helping in that sense. Have your ideas, and then maybe like, can you give me a couple more ideas?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we got the other part, the final part, I guess, that was all the instructions and the elements within there as well. So
the last part would be just putting in, if the guest is interested, here's the booking link, and that's where everything would come from ChargeAutomation. Availability, obviously, that's dependent on whatever you're upselling into with, a spa experience, a guided hike, whatever it is, horseback riding. And then generally for something like this, I don't have an approval process from the property manager just because it's a tour that's being booked on the back end through ChargeAutomation. So Nick, maybe you can kind of explain for like users, how would something like this work once that link is set?
Totally. So basically the way we got it on ChargeAutomation is the upsell is essentially configured within ChargeAutomation. So that in itself sets everything up, on ChargeAutomation side. What Hostbuddy is really doing here, it's selling that, and that's what's absolutely key. So you've done the sale. Now the next part is the processing of that sale, and that should be configured and set up in ChargeAutomation. The really cool thing about it, ChargeAutomation, is because in many cases you've already taken that payment. You've already got a pre-authorized payment method. So again, historically, I had it before where people kind of go, yeah, I'd love to do that. And then they struggle with a valid payment method, or their card gets rejected, or this, that, and the other. And it's a pain. And then all of a sudden that excitement turns into frustration. It turns into a guest who just doesn't want to do it anymore. And then you probably even lost them for the rest of the holiday because they feel almost embarrassed that their card hasn't worked. Because you've already got that pre-authorized card, you've already got a payment method which is going to work. And the great thing is, as soon as they're interested, they go to the upsell, they purchase that upsell, and it's charged automatically to that card payment method that the guest has registered with ChargeAutomation. What's also really nice about it, and I want to add, is in some cases, let's just say for example, the horseback riding, you might not know there's availability, and it's hard. ChargeAutomation doesn't know there's availability always, but you have to consult with the provider. But what it can do is it can pre-authorize the amount. So that's awesome. So essentially you can say, cool, we'll look into it, complete that whole, the journey. So they go to the upsell, they make the purchase. It doesn't charge the client. You then have the notification to go and check with the provider that offers either bikes or whatever service it is you have. And if they say, yeah, sure, we got that availability in the calendar, let's get that locked in, you can then charge that client. If they don't, it's not a big deal, because what you can then do is just free up that charge. You're never charging the client. Now that does two things. Number one, it removes frustration, and it means you're not blocking funds. Because believe me, when you're on holiday, many people come with very limited funds. They've used their holiday money to get there. They have their pocket money, right? If you charge them, you've got to wait up to 5 days, depending on your payment gateway, to get that money back. And that's it. You've lost that money for your stay, and they feel resentful to you because you've taken it. If you do the pre-authorization, what's really great is the money goes back usually within seconds, minutes, at most 24 hours. So you're not going to lock them up, and they're not going to feel like they're being constrained. And also, you don't get charged. So if you make a transaction, you get charged. If you do a pre-authorization, you cancel it, there is no charge. There's no commission charge there from the payment gateway. So it's going to save you as a host a lot of money. So it's always good to remember that. So when you set up your upsells, make sure you've got them set up in such a way that on the things that you have to get approval on first, set it up as a pre-authorization, and then charge them once you got that approval, or rather you got the confirmation that the service is available. If it's a service that you can give straight away without any issues, charge the guest, because then you're going to get your conversion right there and then. So I think,
one question that I had, hosts sometimes come in, worried about payment links or just general links, through Airbnb, Vrbo, Booking.com, and that they might get flagged in, whatever these strict rules can be sometimes with Airbnb and Vrbo. Do you guys ever see problems with sending these links via property management systems, or how do you ensure like Airbnb never, gets upset, or Vrbo gets upset with that?
So if it's a third-party service, generally that's not going to be an issue. If you're talking about a service associated with the property, and it's something which Airbnb supports, you got to be a little bit careful about that. The other thing is you shouldn't kind of go upgrade your room or whatever it might be. So especially if you're talking about upgrades and other bits and pieces, make sure that goes through the Airbnb system. I use Booking, for example. So if I start trying to upsell my rooms and I try and charge them on the side, Booking.com is going to get upset with me. Of course, because it means you're taking away their commissions and such forth. So where there are commissions for that service, that's where the issues kind of happen with those platforms. But ultimately, I don't know a single property manager that doesn't use Booking or Airbnb. We need those tools; they are essential to us. And the way to look at it is it's your marketing cost. So you kind of need to kind of allocate that cost in terms of marketing to get visibility globally. And it's important to keep them happy, So, but when it comes to third-party services like the horseback riding, you can do that through your own platform. That's a service you're offering, within your establishment. That's
good.
important.
Well, I appreciate you clarifying that, because I think some people do get confused when offering links, and whether it's upselling a third-party service or like you had mentioned, a room upgrade via Airbnb. So it's good to clarify that.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. So you do have freedom there, and it's important to remember that. I just want to add, if you need any help kind of getting set up, we have set up this link here, and we have an entire article which we'll continue to expand upon. The other thing is we're going to continue expanding the integration, so there's going to be much deeper integration as and when we progress. So right now we have a really great setup, and it works seamlessly, but we're continuously adding more features into the integration with you guys. So that's going to be pretty awesome. Let's talk about kind of the little small tweaks. This is the general stuff that we were talking about, so not directly related to it's how you kind of optimize things. I think with Hostbuddy, just making sure you got the correct messaging in place, such as obviously welcoming them with all the information that they might want to see, their arrival times, those kind of things are all going to get baked into Hostbuddy, and that's just going to help alleviate all these kind of issues that you kind of see. You kind of get when you kind of welcome a guest. I mean, it's generally what time is check-in, what time is checkout. And in fact, one of the other really cool things is we have guests saying, no, checkout is at 4 p.m. It's like, no, it's not. They get confused. So this kind of stuff helps, Hostbuddy really helps kind of clarify those questions. And then we come back to the whole Wi-Fi question, that's going to come up. It comes up if you're a host all the time. It's annoying as heck. or how do I change the channels on the TV?
Oh, that's the worst one. How do I work the TV remote?
No, the worst one is when they actually change the settings on the TV, trying to fix it, and then you got to reprogram that whole TV. We bought new TVs at lockdown, but the older ones don't do it. So it's really annoying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, ultimately, Hostbuddy is going to help you to basically take over your sales in many ways. Not entirely, because I think you still need to provide that input and you've got to get that personal touch. But ultimately, it's going to drive the initial sales kind of pitch. And then if you need to answer any questions, you can
And
do
then
that. So
another thing that I forgot to mention too is if your team member ever needs to get involved, it'll actually send whatever team member is in charge of upsells a text message letting them know, hey, you need to get involved here. Hostbuddy can't handle this situation, and it'll summarize that situation.
Right. No, that's I'm glad you clarified that, because that's really key. And this comes back to the issue my wife has with the AI right now. She's like, no, I don't want to let a bot do everything for me. So I think it's nice that you can talk to someone, and especially when they're available, you can still give that personal touch. I guess let's just summarize everything. This is kind of the summary slide that we always seem to do. Ultimately, you're offering a much more complete journey. So, you combine ChargeAutomation to deliver all the tools, but you've got Hostbuddy there kind of supporting you and driving your guests down the correct pathways and driving upsells. And that in itself is going to kind of create a lot more revenue as a guest. As a host, should I say. So, and it's going to tackle guests at the right time. You don't want to hassle them when they're having their breakfast. They're going to ask questions and they're going to get the input at the right time. So you're basically managing that sales pitch really, really nicely with Hostbuddy. Obviously, it clarifies all the questions that they're going to have, those repeat questions that drive everyone insane. I think it's really important. And the reduced workload, I'm just going to go through the points here quickly. It just helps it helps give you more time. There's a lot of things you've got to do as a property manager, including unblocking toilets. I've done that myself. It's awful, but I have to do it sometimes. But it gives you time to kind of get those things done, and you're not keeping guests waiting. They have the information they need at their fingertips, and I think that's really key. I also find that even though you have a guest book, you continuously have to refer users to that guest book, and then they have to browse, and they just want to ask you questions. And I think Hostbuddy helps kind of complement that. It doesn't replace it, but it certainly complements it and allows you to kind of get the information and also talk at the same time. So they have that conversational flow that they really want to have. And I think overall, it just makes guests happier. They have information at their fingertips. They want to have a conversational flow, like I said. They don't want to search information. They just want to ask a question. They get an answer, and that's it. So that
it comes down to the guest wants to be handheld at the end, and Hostbuddy allows for that fully without you having to pull your hair out on a Saturday night at 11 p.m. when they're asking for the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, and they're the worst ones. Actually, no, I'd say the worst ones are the ones that contact you at 5 p.m. when you're walking out the office, and you're just like, So they're the worst.
100%.
But anyway, the key thing is that it works together really nicely, and I think it really does elevate ChargeAutomation to another level. And genuinely, I'm going to give it a go. I really want to try it out, and I want to see how Hostbuddy works for my properties. And you should reach out to Tyler and his team and really kind of see what they can do for you. So at the end of the day, what you're looking for are happier guests, and happier guests gives you better reviews. Better reviews get you more stays, and that in itself drives revenue. So yeah, I think it's
100%. It's a great symbiotic relationship that we have going here.
Absolutely. So listen, I think we've got to the point now. We've been going on for about half an hour. I said 25 minutes, didn't I?
It always goes over.
So
we get excited. We talk about things.
This happens every time. I'm terrible at it. So hopefully we still have a lot of people listening. We actually have 10 on our right now. So currently actively listening to our podcast on one of our channels. We have multiple channels. So let's go through some of the questions. And we're going to start with Kyle Jerry. He's written, okay, am I right in understanding that you can build upsells in Hostbuddy and the guest will be sent a payment link via Hostbuddy using a custom payment link from ChargeAutomation? Sort of, not quite. So essentially, you're building the upsell in ChargeAutomation, and you are basically then Hostbuddy knows what the upsells are that are available, and it directs the user to that upsell on ChargeAutomation, where you can complete that the payment request, or you can complete the payment process and the purchase of that upsell. So I don't know if there's anything else you want to add to that one, Tyler, but I think that pretty much sums that up.
Summed up correctly.
Okay, so hopefully, Carl, if you got any questions on that one, feel free to reach out. But that pretty much sums that up. Let's go to the next question. So rather than build in CA and push the guest to use the guest portal to find the added. Yeah, so I guess that's a follow-on. Sorry, I should have seen that here. So essentially, yeah, that's essentially what we're doing. You still need to build your guest book, and I think it's important to have that because that is information that Hostbuddy will use, to enhance the whole chat flow. So you still need the guest book. You still need to build that. But think of Hostbuddy as an enhancement to ChargeAutomation. So it'll essentially, I guess the way to kind of look at it, ChargeAutomation is the encyclopedia, and you've got Hostbuddy, the analyst, working through it and giving the information.
Wow, I like that. I like the vision that you have there a lot.
Philosopher, Nick. I didn't know you were a philosopher, man.
Yeah. Wow.
Well,
such eloquent words.
There's my next career. Brilliant. Carl, I hope that answers your question. So that's an interesting one, yeah, but I think it's important to think of it that way. All right, so we got one more question from Chris Nolan. Doesn't have all the question here, but I think it's a great question. Is there any way to automate the flow from the guest booking to a third-party upsell to providing information to the vendor that's providing the upsell, i.e. the guest books horseback riding via Hostbuddy? Then how is the horseback riding company contacted to book the experience? Is that still a manual process for us to handle with our teams? Yes and no, I think is the answer here. And this is very much ChargeAutomation focus. It can completely be automated. Absolutely. So we have various flows on there. So of course, the actual upsell itself, the process happens through ChargeAutomation. The payment happens through ChargeAutomation. But we have integrations with the different platforms that, for example, Viator, that's a platform that we work with. And you can automate through those platforms if your supplier works with Viator. So that's one option. We do have various other options. And in fact, actually, can I bring in, sorry, I'm going to bring you in here, Toyin, because he's jumping at me and he wants to kind of give me some input here. We have Toyin, our head of product. Toyin, I've thrown you in the call.
Hello. I apologize. I've been sending messages, but I think reaching just makes my whole computer slow. But yeah, great question. Yes, it can be fully automated where whoever the vendors can get a notification. We support webhooks, not to get into technicalities, but yes, we support third-party upsells. We support notifying whoever you're going to notify that an upsell is purchased so they can take action, whatever the action might be, right? So yes, it can be automated. Short answer.
Awesome. Chris, I hope that answers your question. So that was a good question, actually. And I think it's absolutely key to remember there that, you've got the whole process kind of being running through. So for essentially, you've got, you've got the question, you've got the platform there that's supporting the purchase, and then obviously you have the connection to that third-party platform. So everything can be automated, and it kind of leaves you with a lot more time to do things. And believe me, when you're a host, there's a lot of things you need to do. So yeah, like I said, great question. Do we have any other questions before we go? Because those are the three that I've got here. I don't know if there's anything else. If not, there were three good questions, actually. Let's jump into the summary, actually. Oh, no, we got one more. We have from Yam Miranda. Good timing, because I was about to switch slides. What are the correct settings for the same-day check-in message template that needs to be sent at 10 a.m.? Okay, so I'm kind of guessing you need to basically ensure that the same-day message template is understood by Hostbuddy and the information is sent across. So actually, probably, I think, Tyler, you can probably answer that on the Hostbuddy side. You can actually have that information, train it accordingly.
Yes, you can have it trained accordingly. Basically, in the timing, the platform, it might be easier for me to just show you that versus explaining it. It's kind of hard to explain that without showing the platform of the exact smart template. So yeah, if you want to send me an email or want to set up some time, feel free and we can run through a quick call and I can show you.
Okay, all right. So no, good question, yeah. And yeah, like I said, the short, the long is, yes, you can do that. So great stuff. All right, guys, let's finish things up because I'm conscious of time. We've been here almost 40 minutes. So I think we can sum things up. We have, we have Sean, but we also have Emmanuel. Sorry, Emmanuel, that was the old slide that I had on there still.
There we go.
I think it's important we highlight that you're here. Unfortunately, Sean isn't doing so well, but he'll be back soon. He's been a little bit under the weather. But instead, we have Emmanuel here from our sales team, and you can reach out to him, sales@chargeautomation.com, or you can book a demo, or you can scan the link there. Please feel free to do that. Same for Hostbuddy. So we got Tyler here. I guess, Tyler, you deal directly with the customers as well, or you have a
yeah,
team
I run
as well?
all the demos, help with account management, onboarding. If you have any property managers that are wanting to come on, I'll be your personal account manager to make sure everything's running and operating smoothly.
Fantastic.
And my
Great
email,
stuff.
for some reason, not showing, but it's tyler@hostbuddy.ai.
Oh, apologies. I'll put that on the post actually afterwards.
No worries at all. All good.
All right, great stuff. All right. Well, listen, I think that was a really fun session and really enjoyed it. And like I said, it's the first time we've spoken directly about AI with Charge Automation. So I think there's going to be a lot more of this to come in 2026. We'll do a follow-up session, I think, once we've got everything once we see how things go. But I'm very excited about this one, and I'll give you my own anecdotes as well and see how Hostbuddy goes. I've really got to try it. I've got to give it a go.
I'll help you on board. Let's get it going.
Great
Just got to convince your wife.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah, I'll talk to his wife. I was just going to say.
Tyler, that's your job. I'm staying out of this one.
Let's see what happens.
Amazing. All right, guys. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining this live session. Really appreciate it. Thanks for all the great questions. And we'll see you in the next one. If we don't see each other before the new year, have a fantastic festive season, fantastic new year, and we'll see you again back in January.
Thanks,
all the best,
guys.
guys.
Appreciate
Take
you
care.
having me on.
All right.
Thanks, Emmanuel.